don't be intimidated by thinking you have to go to your closest gym and start bench pressing and deadlifting and shoulder pressing. Like, I think that's the biggest barrier is, I mean, one, the biggest barrier for someone to start is just kind of starting to do anything.
Something. Yeah, I was going to say, you've got barriers,
Right, like that's it. It's like, don't let that be what holds you back because you think you need to be able to squat, bench press, do these big strength movements. It's do whatever you feel comfortable doing right now. If you enjoy hiking, if you enjoy going for a walk, you enjoy running, like, do that. We are completely biased to strength training. So yes, I think that anyone that's not working out right now can start anything. Start walking your dog, start going for runs, start doing whatever you feel most comfortable with. But yes, we are definitely biased towards strength training, and that, to your point, that's where we've seen the most proven adaptations from, one, aesthetically, if that's what you want to do, biomarkers, but then also, right, for longevity.
Yep.
So I know if I'm going to have a conversation with someone about what's the best way for you to work out, it's going to be built around strength training. But I would say don't not work out because you think you have to strength train, right?
Yeah, I see that. That's 100% correct in just from a base standpoint. Just like you had said, with like the lowest barrier to entry, what's the lowest hanging fruit to get yourself moving, to get yourself to create change, to get yourself, because there is the mental aspect, right? You're going to feel good doing something. Like yesterday, you said you went for a run because you had 18 minutes, because you knew you had a call or this, a session, right, whatever. But like you're covering the base. You didn't have to do it at all yesterday. You know, mentally it makes you feel good. You got a sweat going. You go to bed fulfilled a little bit more that night because you did it, right? But you're covering every single base with strength training, with your core training, right?
Yeah, to that point, I was in between two of my big strength days, and I like to get some type of movement in those days, be it like something that's more dynamic, some type of mobility, or it could just be a run, but I typically like to run a little longer or something that's a little more focused. And I had a call, had a session that backed up into it, and literally just ran out the door for 18 minutes and was back, and just whatever I can cover in that amount of time before I could come back and kind of cool down for a second before a call.
Yeah,
and I'll count that. Like, that is a workout for me because I was able to get my heart rate up, sweat, and that I got that feeling of accomplishment, and that's kind of all I needed for that day. So no, that wasn't going to make me stronger and make me hit the goals that I probably have, but it did, from a mental standpoint, accomplish what it needed.
This podcast is sponsored by Memento Health. We got an awesome electrolyte supplement here that we just paired up with. We also are selling it within our studio and are affiliated with online. Incredible electrolyte is formulated with the best sourced sodium, potassium, magnesium, and amino acids to help absorb it, right? So it's got the correct ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium for optimal hydration. It also has great sourced amino acids from this Japanese company that does fermented amino acids instead of a typical chemical process. So check these guys out. We'll have the link below. Awesome, awesome partner. Yeah, and if you just did that 3 days a week, especially from a nothing standpoint, you feel good.
Yeah,
you might go home, you feel good. You're like, yesterday I actually did run 1.5 miles. I feel great today. I could take the day off.
Yeah.
But then you might say, oh, you know what? I want more. I'm kind of complacent after 6 months. Add another day. Try something else. Right? It's all just dependent on what it is.
I imagine you've seen this too. Is like when you have a client that's going from zero, first day one. You're not going to put a bunch of weight on them in the first month. Weight meaning strength training wise, right?
I mean,
They're not going to start.
If everyone can squat 315,
like, if you can't, get the hell out of here. But right, they may not be moving much weight. They're just going to start moving, and you'll even see them start to lose weight or something. They get stronger just even over that 4-week period because they're going from zero to something.
Yeah.
Right. And like that, I think that's even it. Just whatever. If you just start doing something consistently for 4 weeks, you're going to start to see some change, be it internally and externally.
Yeah, and that's also what I've seen. Right. I've had people that have played tennis for 12 years or were sports as a kid, never really worked out, ran a little bit on their own, played tennis. Now they have shoulder issues and their knees are kind of weak and their life is catching up with them. And then they come to me to train. It's like, okay, let's form a basis, let's take it back. That's why I say the things that I say, right? And we do with the strength training basis, and it brings you back to that standpoint of being therapeutic, being life-giving, being anything that is going to push you a little bit further in achieving your goals. But at that same sense, right? I was going to say before, it's cyclical, right? In the year, you can look at what you do as cyclical almost, where if you know that you're an athlete for a certain part of the year, I know that I'm playing baseball this summer. I know throwing 100 pitches is something that baseball is going to put on me. My body needs to do that. Otherwise, if I don't prep or do anything that has to do with rotational movement for the months leading up, my back is going to be barking at me. I'm going to be mentally in a worse place. Even though it's fun to throw on a Sunday, I know that I'm going to be in pain for 3 days after. I know that my lifting is not going to feel as great because I didn't prep my body for that violent rotation. Same thing with golfers, right? I see this with golfers, guys at country clubs going out 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week. Sometimes because they have to tend to clients, they have to this, that. They're getting forearm problems, they're getting hip issues, low back is crushing them, right? And then their back starts to hurt again because things that they did, or the consistency that they, or the lack thereof consistency, right, that they weren't putting in during that preseason or during the off season or even within the season, it's not allowing them to get anywhere in season, right? And they feel almost worse repetitively doing those motions that are violent after not doing anything. So that's what I mean when it's like a cyclical sense of, okay, you might run more in the summer because you're outside. You might play your sport more in the summer because you're outside. Maybe you dial down the running on the treadmill that you do during the winter 5 days a week.
Yeah, because you're covering that.
Yeah, you do that 2 days in the summer because now you're outside playing tennis for 3 days. So you're still training for 5 days or working out for 5 days. But did you set yourself up correctly, right? Is your body moving how it should? Is it feeling how you thought it would, right? You might be 48. You're not 22 anymore. Is tennis 5 days a week crushing
too
you?
much?
Whereas you used to play it for 7 hours a day as a little kid at a camp. And you go do this, go do that, and you're not performing the right way, right?